Developers may try to make the most successful game they can. Sure, they can succeed in tons of ways. There are lots of these devs who excel at making great gameplay, great storylines, great soundtrack, and great graphics. But there's one thing that developers can't carefully plan out, even with lots of playtesting. That's glitches. Glitches, in the most general sense, are basically anything that's unintentionally programmed into the game, yet still exists within it. There is definitely a spectrum of glitches, ranging from the slightly abnormal to completely bizarre. Glitches are interesting in that they can be either a good thing or a bad thing, and when they're bad, they're certainly a bad thing. There are game-ruining glitches across countless titles, but there are also game-enhancing glitches, so to speak. This is making a bit of an assumption, but it's a pretty safe one to make. There's probably no game that lacks, or at one point lacked, glitches. We can try to avoid it, but it's inevitable. There's always a fault somewhere. Hopefully, the game runs smoothly enough that players don't stumble over it. Hopefully, nobody will find glitches, think developers, after they release a full game. Yet sometimes terrible ones are found. There was a glitch in World of Warcraft where you could bring a damage over time effect out of a dungeon and into non-PvP areas, affecting everyone, even people within your own faction. There's a glitch in Oblivion, Twilight Princess, and many other games that prevent you from just beating the game. Yet some players avidly search just to find these glitches. Some of these glitch searchers may just be beta testers for games trying to give feedback to its creators. Some of these people search for glitches in an effort to outplay others and win in a competitive online environment. Some of these abusive glitches include things like doubling items, a glitch found in countless games. Others just search for glitches just for the sake of fun. Some of these glitches include getting through places you're not supposed to, thus leading to potential skips in portions of the games. In fact, in a lot of Nintendo 64 games, one could create wonky effects like this by just lifting the left side of the cartridge. Such a simple trick leads to such huge abuses of the game. All of these abuses of the game's code led to countless ridiculous glitches. These include things like huge jumps or sliding at rapid speeds, for example. By discovering these glitches, over time, people realized that they could beat single-player games in a time much faster than they were intended. Thus, the speedrunning community developed a lot more. By using these glitches to skip past large portions of the game, people cut times exponentially from how fast they were supposed to be played. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time without glitches can be played in about 3 to 5 hours tops. With glitches and no restrictions, the world record is 18 minutes and 10 seconds right now. Skyrim, a massive Elder Scrolls game, can be beaten in under an hour without glitches. Pokemon Red, 1 minute and 50 seconds. The list goes on and on. Glitches really can cut game times by an enormous amount. Arguably, the most game-breaking glitch is arbitrary code execution, where without any external software, just simply the controller the player uses, a player can enter code into the game for it to register. This can be used to beat Castlevania Symphony of the Night in under 9 minutes. Also, Super Mario World can be beaten in under 5 minutes using this, and can be programmed, all legitimately just with this glitch, to play Pong and Snake. How do people find these glitches though? That's the question that always comes to people's mind when they see stuff like this. Let's start small. Simple glitches in games are, a lot of times, just accidentally stumbled upon. It gets more interesting when you see glitches at the caliber of arbitrary code execution, probably the pinnacle of glitches to break the game. You see, these large glitches are what speedrunners strive to find. Besides the masses who just pick up the information left behind, the core speedrunners typically dissect the game and try to find out how it works, coming up with theories and practicing techniques to find the glitch. It gets interesting at this point, as it's like a science. One example of this huge glitch that had been theorized and sought after is wrong warp, found in Ocarina of Time. This glitch allows you to manipulate the game's internal index of cutscenes it loads, so instead of loading a cutscene where the Deku talks to you, for example, you can load the cutscene of Ganondorf's death, allowing you to go to the final boss fight with Ganon. The process of how this was found took a lot of theorizing and looking through the game's cutscene index amongst many people to see its validity. Ocarina of Time, wrong warp, and its glitches in general with the speedrunning community have a long history of doing things like this. Not too long ago were the fastest speedruns for Ocarina of Time over an hour, but now it can be done in under 20 minutes. There is a controversy with speedrunning, however. It's noticed on pretty much every speedrunning video, all in just the comment section. There is a small but very vocal group of people who try and contest that glitches to beat games in this way is cheating, because it's not what the developer intended. The game should be played without abusing its shortcomings. or "It's wrong to break the game this way, as it's not what the creators planned," they'll say. But I think that this is personally a completely terrible outlook. However someone makes a game, it should be played with the intention of enjoying it. Does how they enjoy it matter then? Nobody gives toys to children and says, "It's meant to be played this way," forcing them to play with it the way the creation of the toy was intended. I remember some of my favorite times playing Starbound, a Terraria-like game set in space, was simply going on servers with my friends and running around playing with the instruments the game offers. I don't think the developers of Starbound intended that to be the major selling point of their game, yet don't I still have the right to enjoy it this way? So perhaps in spite of the intentions, in spite of all the efforts to have the game be played a certain way, in spite of the focuses on gameplay, story, soundtrack, or graphics, we can enjoy the game however we damn well please.